So the next set of controls are kind of related. We'll see some of the bigger controls that exist here and some of the more full screen or larger page controls. So the first one is actually the page control itself. And this control, it's a little hard to see here, but it's basically a control that you'll see at different pages that have a number of dots that indicate what page you're on. It's kind of a new paradigm that's been being used a lot in development and in user interfaces to indicate how many pages there are and what page you're on. It basically will show you all the dots and then the dot of the current page that you're on. And here you can set the number of pages and then what the current page is initially. Pretty basic control. It's a little bit complicated to use. You have to kind of embed essentially another page in your view to provide this kind of paging functionality. But it is pretty useful when you have pages of data and you want to indicate how many there are. You can think of this as kind of the same situation where you would perhaps in a web page or something do paging. So kind of the same idea here. You can make it disappear for a single page so that if you only have one page that the user doesn't have to see this control show up. The next control, we're going to kind of skip the table view and whatnot because we're going to cover that more in detail in the next course. It's more of something that we want to talk about in an entire module because there's just so much to do with the table view. The image view, another pretty basic control, pretty similar to if you've done .NET Windows Forms programming, the image view control there. You basically select an image and you can control whether or not it's highlighted. Nothing really interesting there, just the basic other settings there. So this is what you can use to display an image. The text view, again, this one is pretty basic also, nothing really surprising here. This is more for larger blocks of text, and it does have a feature that is kind of neat, this detection. So you can make it detect links, phone numbers, addresses, events, and with that detection, if it detects some text that's likely a phone number, like the digit sequence, it'll make it so that's clickable by the user, and then they could go to that phone number and actually dial it. And you'll see a lot of the same controls that we had shown before in the smaller text field. They also exist in this text view. So some of the keyboard settings. And then this web view control is actually a pretty interesting control, and this can actually be used a lot more, I think, than it is used. You don't actually even have to fill up an entire page with a web view, although a lot of applications that use this do. But it can be used to display any web content, which you can kind of mix in with your native app. A lot of people are creating applications that are kind of a hybrid between a native and a web app, and that's kind of a good use for this web view, is that you can have your app, most of the formatting, and make it cross-platform the display inside a web view, but then any of the native things and native controls that you need, you can put on that same view or that same page and kind of make it feel like the whole thing is native. This also has that detection for phone numbers, links, addresses. Phone numbers are by default here. You can also scale the pages to fit this entire web view. And that's pretty much it for the web view. It's a more of a complex control to use from the API, but really it's not that difficult if you need to use the web view.